If you've ever been home alone late at night, you probably know the feeling. The television is off. The neighborhood is quiet. Every creak inside the house suddenly sounds louder than it should. Your imagination starts filling in the silence. Most people tell themselves it's nothing. An old house settling, the wind outside, a tree branch scraping against a window, because the alternative is much harder to accept. The story you're about to hear begins in exactly that kind of silence. And according to the dispatch records, everything you're about to hear happened in less than 4 hours. The recording itself has never been released to the public. Only fragments remain inside archived police reports. Some officers involved in the case transferred to different departments within a year. Others simply refused to discuss it. No official explanation was ever published. And although investigators eventually closed the case, no one ever explained one simple question. Who made the first 911 call? Because according to every document that still exists, the caller shouldn't have been able to use a phone. Emily Carter was 32 years old. She wasn't the type of person who believed in ghosts. She had a degree in graphic design, worked remotely for a marketing company based in Seattle, and spent most of her days sitting in a small home office surrounded by coffee mugs and unfinished sketches. She preferred facts over feelings, evidence over rumors. If someone claimed their house was haunted, Emily would probably smile politely before explaining how old plumbing could imitate footsteps or how sleep deprivation could create convincing auditory hallucinations. She believed every mystery had a logical explanation. That belief had survived her entire life. It survived childhood. It survived a painful divorce. It survived moving into a house that most people in town quietly avoided. Until one Tuesday morning in November. Rain had started shortly after sunset. By midnight, the entire neighborhood had disappeared beneath thick sheets of cold Oregon rain. The pine trees surrounding Emily's property bent gently in the wind. Water rolled down every window. Streetlights reflected across the wet pavement like broken strips of orange glass. Inside the house, everything was peaceful. Emily had fallen asleep around 11:30 after finishing a client presentation. A book rested open beside her pillow. The bedroom television was off. The only light came from the digital alarm clock. 2:17 a.m. Her phone suddenly vibrated across the wooden nightstand. Once, twice, then continuously. Emily opened one eye. Half asleep, she reached toward the phone without looking. She expected another spam call, or maybe a wrong number. Instead, the glowing screen displayed 2 words that immediately pulled every trace of sleep from her body. 911 dispatch. Emily frowned. She sat upright. The phone continued vibrating. For several seconds, she simply stared at the screen. 911 never called people. People called 911. Her first thought was that someone had somehow spoofed the number. Her second thought was that maybe someone in her family had been involved in an accident. Her hands suddenly felt cold. She answered, "Hello." Static, very faint, like distant radio interference. Then a woman spoke. "Good morning. Am I speaking with Emily Carter?" The voice sounded calm, professional, but something about it felt different. Not nervous, not rushed, careful, as if every word had been chosen in advance. Emily cleared her throat. "Yes, this is Multnomah County Emergency Dispatch. We need to confirm that you're currently inside your residence." Emily blinked. "Yes. And are you alone?" Emily looked around the bedroom. The door remained closed. Everything inside the room was exactly as she'd left it. "Myself." "Yes." Silence. The dispatcher didn't ask another question. Instead, Emily heard quiet typing, papers moving, someone speaking softly in the background. Almost 30 seconds passed. Then, the dispatcher returned. "Emily, I'm going to ask you not to panic." Whenever someone says those words, panic usually becomes unavoidable. Emily immediately felt her heartbeat increase. "What's going on?" Another pause. Then, "We are currently receiving an emergency call from your address." Emily frowned. "I think you have the wrong house." We verified the location twice. No, that's impossible. The dispatcher continued. The caller claims someone has entered the home. Emily instinctively looked toward her bedroom door. Nothing. No footsteps. No voices. No movement. I'm alone. I understand. The caller also stated that she's hiding upstairs. Emily laughed quietly, not because it was funny, because it made no sense. I don't have anyone upstairs. I live alone. The dispatcher didn't argue. Instead, she quietly asked, Emily, how many floors are in your house? 2. And which floor are you currently on? The first. Another silence. Then, almost whispering, the dispatcher said something that Emily would remember for the rest of her life. Then the caller. Should be directly above you. Emily slowly raised her eyes toward the ceiling. For the first time, she noticed something. A sound. Tiny. Almost too quiet to hear. A single, wooden floorboard, creaking above her bedroom. She froze. Another creak. Then another. Someone was walking upstairs. Very slowly. One careful step at a time. Emily whispered, That's impossible. The dispatcher answered immediately. Emily, I need you to listen very carefully. Do not leave your bedroom. Lock the door. And whatever happens, do not answer anyone who calls your name. Emily's heart was now beating so loudly she could barely hear the phone. Her bedroom door was still unlocked. Without taking her eyes off it, she slowly reached toward the lock. Click. The small metallic sound echoed through the silent room. The footsteps upstairs stopped instantly. Complete silence. 5 seconds. 10. Nothing. Emily exhaled. Maybe she imagined it. Maybe the dispatcher had frightened her enough that her mind. 3 slow knocks interrupted the thought. Knock. 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 Not upstairs. Not downstairs. Directly outside her bedroom door. Emily stopped breathing. The dispatcher whispered, Emily, is someone knocking? Emily couldn't answer. She simply stared at the door. Then, from the hallway, a woman's voice spoke softly, gentle, almost comforting, exactly like Emily's own voice. Emily, please, open the door. It's me. Emily couldn't move. The voice outside the bedroom door had spoken only 5 words. 5 ordinary words. Yet every instinct in her body screamed that opening the door would be the worst decision of her life. Her fingers tightened around the phone. The dispatcher spoke first. Emily, are you still with me? Emily finally managed to whisper. Yes. What exactly did you hear? Emily swallowed. It sounded like me. The dispatcher didn't seem surprised. Instead, she quietly asked, Exactly like you? Emily closed her eyes. Exactly. My voice. My breathing. My accent. My. She couldn't finish the sentence because the woman outside laughed. Not loudly, not violently. It was Emily's own laugh. The laugh she used when someone told an awkward joke. The same laugh her ex-husband used to imitate. The same laugh she heard in old home videos. The dispatcher immediately recognized it through the phone. I heard that. Emily whispered. You heard it too? Yes. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Then the dispatcher suddenly asked, Emily, does your bedroom have another exit? Emily looked around. Only one door. One window overlooking the front yard. A small bathroom. Nothing else. No. Okay. Stay where you are. We have officers attempting another approach. Emily frowned. You said they couldn't find my house. We're trying something different. What? We've stopped using GPS. Emily didn't understand. The dispatcher explained. One of the officers grew up near your neighborhood. He's trying to locate your house from memory. Emily stared toward the dark ceiling. Something about that sentence felt wrong. How could someone lose an entire house? Outside, rain hammered against the windows. The hallway remained silent. Too silent. Then, another knock. This time, only once. Knock. The woman spoke again. still using Emily's voice. "You don't have to be afraid. I'm trying to help you." Emily slowly stepped backward. The dispatcher whispered, "Don't answer." The voice continued, "I know she's lying." Emily frowned. "Who?" "The woman on the phone." Emily's heartbeat accelerated. The dispatcher heard every word. "Emily, she's trying to separate us. You have to trust my voice." Emily covered the microphone. "She's saying not to trust you." The dispatcher answered immediately. "Good." Emily blinked. "What?" "I was waiting for that." "What do you mean?" The dispatcher took a deep breath. "Every previous report says the same thing. It always tries to isolate the victim." Emily felt ice crawl through her veins. "Previous? How many?" Silence. Then, "More than one." Emily froze. "I thought there was only one call 10 years ago." "There was. The others were never reported." Emily stared at the phone. "What does that mean?" "It means people disappeared before they could call us." The bedroom suddenly felt smaller, the air heavier. She realized she hadn't blinked in several seconds. Then, the hallway floor creaked. Very slowly, something began walking away from the bedroom door. One step, another, another. The dispatcher listened carefully. "Emily, it's leaving." Emily whispered, "Where is it going?" The dispatcher didn't answer. Instead, Emily heard distant keyboard clicks again. Someone speaking rapidly in the background. Another dispatcher shouted, "We found another property record." The woman on the phone immediately muted herself. Emily waited. 30 seconds passed. When the dispatcher returned, her voice had changed. She sounded frightened. "Emily, I need you to answer one question." "Okay. When you bought your house, did the realtor ever show you the basement?" Emily frowned. "No, there isn't one." "Are you sure?" Emily nodded instinctively. "Yes, I've lived there for 3 years. I know every room." Silence. Then, the dispatcher quietly replied, "The original blueprints show a basement." Emily's stomach tightened. "There isn't one. The blueprints also show a staircase." Emily slowly looked toward the bedroom floor. Her bedroom sat directly above the living room. There had never been stairs leading downward, only stairs going up. The dispatcher continued, "The basement entrance was supposed to be beneath your staircase." Emily whispered, "It isn't." Then, a loud metallic sound echoed somewhere downstairs. Clang, like an old lock falling onto concrete. Emily flinched. Another sound followed. A wooden door, slowly opening. Except, there wasn't supposed to be a door. Not there. Not anywhere beneath the stairs. The dispatcher whispered, "Emily, I think someone just opened the basement." Emily stared toward her bedroom floor. She could hear it now. Cold draft, rising through the house, carrying the smell of wet earth, mold, rust, and something else. Something she couldn't identify. Then, from somewhere deep below the house, a woman screamed. Not upstairs. Not outside. Below. A scream so full of terror, it lasted nearly 10 seconds. Emily instinctively pulled the phone away from her ear. The dispatcher heard it too. Every dispatcher in the call center heard it. Nobody spoke, until the scream suddenly stopped, as if someone had covered the woman's mouth. Emily whispered, "Who was that?" The dispatcher answered in a voice barely above a whisper, "I don't know. But it wasn't the woman outside your bedroom." Emily slowly turned toward the hallway. The footsteps had stopped. The voice outside had disappeared. Now, there was only one sound left in the entire house. Very slow footsteps, climbing up from a basement that should never have existed. Emily stared at the bedroom floor. The footsteps continued. Slow, measured, heavy. Each one carried through the wooden beams beneath her feet. They weren't coming from the hallway anymore. They were rising from below, from a place she had spent 3 years believing didn't exist. She tried to convince herself there had to be another explanation. Maybe the plumbing. Maybe old support beams shifting under the weight of the rain. Maybe The footsteps stopped. Directly beneath her, the dispatcher whispered, "Emily, can you still hear them?" "Yes." "How many people?" Emily listened carefully. First, she heard only silence. Then, another sound. Breathing. Not one person. Several. Slow. Uneven. As if a group of people stood perfectly still, holding their breath. Waiting. Emily's stomach tightened. "There are." She swallowed. "I think there are more than one." The dispatcher didn't respond immediately. Instead, Emily heard someone in the background say, "Pull every report connected to that property." Another voice answered, "There aren't many." Then someone else quietly replied, "No, there are too many." Emily slowly backed toward the bedroom window. If she absolutely had to, she could break the glass. Jump. The drop wasn't too high. She pulled the curtain aside just enough to look outside. The street was empty. Rain continued falling. The pine trees swayed in the darkness. No police cars. No neighbors. Nothing. But something caught her attention. Across the street, she could barely make out another house. She frowned. Had that house always been there? She couldn't remember. Its windows were dark. Its front porch light flickered every few seconds. Someone was standing in the upstairs window, watching her. Emily squinted through the rain. The figure never moved, never blinked, just stood there. The dispatcher interrupted. "Emily, what do you see?" I think someone is watching me." "Where?" "The house across the street." Silence. The dispatcher answered almost instantly. "There is no house across the street." Emily blinked. "What?" "The satellite images. The officer's body camera. Everything shows only trees." Emily looked again. The house was still there, clear as day. Old white siding, broken shutters, a porch swing moving gently, and the figure still standing in the upstairs window. She whispered, "I can see it." The dispatcher lowered her voice. "Emily, don't wave." Emily hadn't realized she'd already started raising her hand. She immediately lowered it. Then, the figure inside the other house raised its hand anyway. Emily froze. She hadn't waved. Yet the figure had slowly pressed one hand against the glass. Then another. As lightning flashed across the sky, Emily finally saw the face. Her own. Exactly. Same hair. Same eyes. Same pajamas. Same terrified expression. It was looking directly at her. Then, the other Emily mouthed for silent words. "Don't open any door." Before Emily could react, the lights inside the mysterious house went out. The figure disappeared, and when the lightning flashed again, the house itself was gone. Only trees remained, exactly as the dispatcher had described. Emily stumbled backward from the window. Her breathing became fast and uneven. I just saw myself." The dispatcher remained calm. "I believe you." Those three words somehow frightened Emily even more. "You believe me?" "Yes." "Why?" The dispatcher took a deep breath. "Because you're not the first Emily Carter to say that." Emily felt her blood run cold. "What do you mean?" "We've recovered another archived statement. It was never included in the official case." "Who gave it?" "A patrol officer. He arrived at the property 10 years ago." "What did he see?" The dispatcher hesitated. "He reported seeing two identical women looking at each other through opposite windows." Emily stopped breathing. The dispatcher continued quietly. "By the time backup arrived, there was only one." A loud thump echoed downstairs. Then another. Something was moving furniture, dragging it across the wooden floor. Emily instinctively looked toward her bedroom door. The hallway remained dark. Then, a smell drifted into the room. Old wood, wet soil, rust, and something metallic. Blood. Fresh blood. Emily covered her nose. The dispatcher immediately asked, "Emily, what do you smell?" She answered honestly, "Blood." Silence. Then, The dispatcher said something that made Emily's heart nearly stop. "Emily, I need you to think very carefully. When was the last time you actually left your house?" Emily frowned. "Yesterday. What did you do?" She stopped. She tried to remember. She had gone shopping. Hadn't she? Which store? She couldn't remember. Who had she spoken to? Nothing. She remembered driving, parking, walking, but every face, every building, every conversation was missing, as though someone had erased the details and left only the feeling behind. The dispatcher asked again, "When was the last time someone physically touched you?" Emily searched her memory. A handshake, a hug, cashier handing her change. Anything, nothing, not yesterday, not last week, not even months ago. She suddenly realized no one had entered her house in 3 years, and she couldn't remember leaving it with certainty either. Her chest tightened. What is happening to me? Before the dispatcher could answer, the bedroom doorknob slowly turned. Once, then stopped. A soft scratching sound came from the other side, like fingernails sliding gently across painted wood. Then Emily heard a familiar voice. Not the woman, not the dispatcher. A man, warm, gentle, someone she hadn't heard in years. Emily? She felt every muscle in her body lock. It was her ex-husband. His voice was unmistakable, exactly as she remembered it. Calm, patient. The voice continued. "Emily, I've been looking everywhere for you." Tears filled her eyes before she even realized why. Then he softly laughed. The same laugh she had once loved. "Open the door. I finally found you." Emily's entire body froze. She hadn't heard Daniel's voice in almost 4 years. Not since the divorce. Not since the day he'd packed the last cardboard box, quietly closed the front door behind him, and disappeared from her life forever. There was no possibility, none, that he could be standing outside her bedroom at 2:30 in the morning. Yet every part of that voice was perfect. The warmth, the calmness, even the slight rasp that appeared whenever he had a cold. "Emily?" He knocked softly, not aggressively, just enough to sound concerned. "I know you're scared. Please. I'm here now." Emily could barely breathe. She whispered into the phone. "It's Daniel." The dispatcher answered immediately. "No." Emily frowned. "What? That is not Daniel. You don't know what he sounds like." "I don't need to, because we've heard this before." Emily's eyes filled with confusion. "What are you talking about?" The dispatcher took a slow breath. "Whatever is inside your house, it never introduces itself. It becomes someone you desperately want to believe." Outside the bedroom, Daniel sighed, exactly the way he used to whenever Emily became stubborn during an argument. Then he laughed quietly. "You still overthink everything." Emily closed her eyes. That sentence. He used to say it constantly, hundreds of times. "You always overthink everything, Em." Nobody else knew that. Nobody. Her hands began shaking. "What if?" she whispered. "What if it really is him?" The dispatcher interrupted before she could finish. "Emily, I need you to answer one question. What color were Daniel's eyes?" Emily blinked. "Blue." "Good. What color are yours?" "Green." "Remember that." Emily frowned. "I don't understand." "You will." Daniel spoke again. His voice sounded closer now, almost against the door. "I know you're talking to someone. They're lying. They've been lying since the call started." Emily stared at the phone. The dispatcher remained silent, as if intentionally refusing to respond. Daniel continued. "Emily, ask her something. Anything. You'll realize she doesn't know you." Emily hesitated. The dispatcher quietly said, "Go ahead." Emily swallowed. "What's my birthday?" The dispatcher answered instantly. "April 26th. Emily froze. "Correct." Daniel laughed outside. "Google knows that too." Emily's stomach tightened. Then he asked, "Ask her. What happened when you were 8 years old?" Emily felt her heartbeat stop. She had never told anyone. Not Daniel, not her parents, not even her therapist. Only she knew. Very slowly, she whispered into the phone. "What happened when I was 8? Silence. The dispatcher didn't answer. 5 seconds passed. 10. Emily's breathing became faster. Finally, the dispatcher quietly replied, "I don't know." Outside, Daniel laughed. A genuine laugh. "See, I told you." Emily slowly lowered the phone. The dispatcher quickly added, "Emily, listen to me. I don't know because it never happened." Emily frowned. "What? You were testing me, and you made it up." Emily's eyes widened. She had, without realizing it, there was no childhood memory. She'd invented the question out of panic. The dispatcher continued, "But whatever is outside your bedroom," answered as though it expected me to fail. Silence. Daniel never spoke again. For nearly a full minute, the hallway became completely still. Then, a sound echoed through the house. Not footsteps, not knocking. A telephone, ringing. Emily looked toward the nightstand. Her cell phone remained in her hand. The sound wasn't coming from it. It was coming from downstairs. An old landline telephone. Emily frowned. "I don't own a landline." The dispatcher whispered, "I know." The ringing continued. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Then suddenly, it stopped. Emily expected silence. Instead, she heard someone answer the phone. A woman's voice. "Hello." Emily nearly dropped her cell phone. It was her own voice. From downstairs. She listened. The woman continued speaking. "Yes, this is Emily Carter. I'm alone." Emily felt ice spread through her chest. Those were the exact words she had spoken 20 minutes earlier. The dispatcher heard it too. Neither of them said anything. The conversation downstairs continued. "Someone's upstairs. I can hear them walking." Emily realized what she was hearing. It wasn't another woman. It was the beginning of this very phone call. Someone downstairs was replaying it, word for word, second for second. The dispatcher suddenly whispered, "Emily, how long have we been talking?" Emily glanced at the phone screen. She expected 20 minutes. Instead, the call timer read 3 hours, 47 minutes, and 12 seconds. 3 hours, 47 minutes. Her blood turned to ice. "No, that's impossible." The dispatcher looked equally confused. "My system. It says we've only been connected for 26 minutes. Emily stared at the screen again. The timer didn't change. 3 hours, 47 minutes. Then jumped. 3 hours, 47 minutes, and 13 seconds. 3 hours, 47 minutes, and 14 seconds. It was real. Or at least, her phone believed it was. Suddenly, every light in the bedroom flickered once, twice, 3 times. Then the closet door slowly creaked open by itself. Emily's flashlight was still lying on the carpet. She grabbed it. Her shaking hand pointed the beam toward the darkness inside the closet. Clothes, shoes, storage boxes. Nothing unusual. She exhaled. Then, the beam moved slightly higher. Someone had written something on the back wall. Not with paint, not with marker, with dozens, maybe hundreds, of deep fingernail scratches. 3 words, carved into the wood. "Don't answer it." Emily stared at the message, confused. "Answer what?" The dispatcher whispered. "Emily, what do you see?" Before Emily could respond, her cell phone vibrated violently in her hand. The screen changed. The active 911 call disappeared. A new incoming call covered the display. No number, no name, only 2 words. Incoming call. The bedroom suddenly became silent. The dispatcher was still connected. Emily could still hear her breathing. Yet somehow, another call was coming in. Then, a voicemail notification appeared beneath it. 1 new voice message. Timestamp, 2:17 a.m. Exactly when all of this had started. Emily's thumb hovered over the screen. The dispatcher shouted for the first time. "Emily, do not answer that call." The phone kept vibrating, over and over and over again, as the unknown caller patiently waited. Emily stared at the screen. Incoming call. The phone vibrated so hard it almost slipped from her hand. The dispatcher was still on the line. Yet another call was trying to come through. That alone should have been impossible. But what terrified her even more was the voicemail notification beneath it. One new voice message. Received, 2:17 a.m., the exact minute everything had begun. Emily hadn't ignored any calls. She hadn't missed a notification. So how could there already be a voicemail? The dispatcher spoke quickly. Emily, whatever you do, don't answer it. Emily whispered, what about the voicemail? Silence. The dispatcher answered carefully. I don't know. We've never reached this point before. Emily frowned. What do you mean? This point? The dispatcher hesitated, then quietly admitted something she had been hiding since the beginning. Emily, this isn't the first time we've spoken. Emily's heartbeat stopped. What? We've talked before. Many times. Emily laughed nervously. No, we just met. The dispatcher didn't argue. Instead, she asked, what's today's date? Emily answered immediately. November 17th. The dispatcher went silent. Then, no, it's November 21st. Emily blinked. What? She looked toward the calendar hanging beside her desk. November 17th. She grabbed her laptop, pressed the power button. The screen lit up. The system clock read, November 21st. Emily froze. Her wall calendar still showed the 17th. Her phone displayed the 17th. But her computer said 4 days had passed. The incoming call suddenly stopped. The room became silent again. A notification appeared. Missed call. Immediately beneath it, the voicemail icon began flashing. Emily whispered, I'm going to play it. The dispatcher answered instantly. No, Emily. If you hear your own voice, turn it off immediately. Emily didn't promise. Her thumb slowly pressed the voicemail. The recording began. Static. Heavy breathing. Someone running. Then, Emily heard herself. Not calm. Not frightened. Absolutely terrified. If you're hearing this, I'm already gone. Emily covered her mouth. The voice continued. Listen carefully. You still think you're hiding in the bedroom. You're not. Emily's entire body stiffened. The bedroom disappeared. 43 minutes ago. Emily looked around in panic. Everything looked normal. The bed, the dresser, the window, the closet. Nothing had changed. Had it? The recording continued. Don't trust the window. Don't trust the hallway. Don't trust me. Emily whispered. What? The voice suddenly became desperate. Whatever happens, don't look behind you. Emily stopped breathing. The recording ended. Silence. Emily slowly lowered the phone. She hadn't moved. She hadn't turned around. The dispatcher asked quietly, Emily? No answer. Emily, what did it say? Emily's lips barely moved. It told me not to look behind me. Silence. The dispatcher slowly whispered, then don't. Every instinct in Emily's body screamed to turn around, to check, to make sure nothing was there. She fought the urge. Seconds passed. Nothing happened. Maybe the voicemail had been trying to scare her. Then she heard it, breathing, right behind her. Not loud, not aggressive, gentle, warm, close enough that she could feel it touching the back of her neck. Emily's eyes filled with tears. The dispatcher heard it too. She whispered, Emily, is it breathing? Emily nodded, unable to speak. The breathing continued, slow, patient, almost curious, like someone studying her. Then, a woman's voice whispered directly into her ear, exactly like Emily's own voice. So, you finally listened. Emily squeezed her eyes shut. The voice chuckled softly. You usually turn around. This time, you learned. The dispatcher suddenly shouted, Emily, run. Emily exploded forward. She threw herself across the bedroom. The breathing instantly disappeared. She spun around. Nothing. No woman. No shadow. Only empty air. Her heart pounded violently. The dispatcher spoke between heavy breaths. "It couldn't touch you." Emily stared at the empty room. "Why?" "Because you didn't acknowledge it." Emily frowned. "What?" "It wanted permission." Emily didn't understand. The dispatcher continued. "It needs you to recognize it." Before Emily could ask another question, a loud cracking sound echoed through the house. Not downstairs, not upstairs, inside the walls. One crack, then another, like old wood splitting apart. Emily watched in horror as a thin crack slowly appeared across her bedroom ceiling. Dust drifted onto the carpet. The crack widened. Another. Within seconds, dozens of fractures spread across the ceiling, forming something that looked almost like handwriting. Emily raised the flashlight. The cracks weren't random. They formed letters. Very slowly, a sentence appeared above her. "IT remembers you now." Emily backed away until she hit the bedroom wall. The dispatcher whispered, "Emily, what does it say?" Emily looked up, unable to breathe. "It knows my name." The dispatcher answered with a voice full of dread. "No, it already knew your name." A long pause. Then she said the one sentence Emily wished she'd never heard. "It remembers. Because you've escaped before." Emily felt the room spin. "What do you mean? Before?" The dispatcher took a slow breath, then quietly said, "Emily, this is not your first night in that house." Emily couldn't speak. Her mind refused to process what the dispatcher had just said. "This is not your first night in that house." The sentence echoed inside her head, again, and again, and again. "No," her voice barely existed. "You're wrong. I've lived here for 3 years. This only started tonight." The dispatcher sighed. "I wish that were true." Emily gripped the phone tighter. "What aren't you telling me?" Another long silence. Then the dispatcher quietly admitted, "Emily, when your call first reached us, I recognized your name." Emily frowned. "How?" "Because I've answered your emergency calls before." Her stomach dropped. "What? You've called 911 7 different times." Emily almost laughed. "No, I've never called 911 in my life. You remember only one timeline." Emily felt dizzy. "What does that even mean?" The dispatcher answered carefully. "It means every time the night reaches a certain point, everything begins again." Outside, the rain suddenly stopped. Not gradually, instantly. 1 second it was pouring. The next, absolute silence. Emily slowly looked toward the bedroom window. No rain, no wind, not even moving tree branches. The entire neighborhood had become perfectly still. Too still. The dispatcher immediately noticed. "Emily, has the rain stopped?" "Yes." "Oh God." Emily whispered. "What?" "The reset is happening sooner." Emily frowned. "Reset?" Before the dispatcher could answer, Emily heard a familiar sound. Tick, tick, tick. The digital alarm clock beside her bed had started making mechanical ticking noises. Digital clocks don't tick. She looked at the display. 2:17 a.m. The numbers flickered. 2:16, 2:15, 2:14. The clock was counting backward. Every electronic device in the room suddenly did the same. Her laptop, her smartwatch, even the microwave clock she could barely see through the open bedroom door. All moving backward. Time was reversing. Emily's breathing became faster. "This isn't possible." The dispatcher whispered, "I know. Stay calm." Then, the dispatcher suddenly stopped talking. Emily frowned. "Hello?" "Nothing. Only static." "Can you hear me?" Still nothing. Then, a completely different voice answered. Not the woman. Not the dispatcher. An elderly man. Calm. Tired. Almost emotionless. "Dispatcher 7. Emily froze. "What?" "You finally answered. I've been waiting." Emily's blood ran cold. This isn't dispatch. No, I retired 12 years ago. Emily stared at the phone. What are you talking about? The old man sighed. I answered your third call. Emily whispered, my third. You cried for almost 2 hours. You kept saying the bedroom wasn't staying in the same place. Emily couldn't breathe. I've never spoken to you. No, you don't remember. Suddenly, every picture frame inside the bedroom began shaking. One by one, they fell onto the wooden floor. Glass shattered everywhere. Emily instinctively looked down. Every photograph had changed. The first picture showed Emily standing beside her moving truck. Except, she wasn't alone. Someone stood behind her. A woman, smiling, wearing Emily's face. The second photograph showed Emily asleep in bed. Someone else stood in the bedroom doorway, watching. The third, Emily nearly screamed. It showed this exact bedroom, except the bed was empty, and the walls were covered from floor to ceiling with hundreds of handprints, all pressed from the inside, as though people had tried to claw their way out. Emily dropped the photograph. No, no, the old dispatcher quietly said, you've started seeing the memories. What memories? The house doesn't create hallucinations. It stores people. Emily stopped moving. What? It remembers everyone who dies inside. Emily felt physically sick. I didn't die, the old man answered. Not permanently. A loud crash came from downstairs. The front door had opened. Emily heard footsteps entering the house. Not one person, several. Heavy boots, police officers, real ones. Flashlights swept across the living room. Someone shouted, police! Emily nearly cried with relief. They found me. The old dispatcher suddenly yelled louder than anyone had before. No, they're too early. Emily ignored him. She rushed toward the bedroom door. Real voices echoed downstairs. Second floor. Clear the kitchen. Move. The dispatcher screamed. Emily, ask them the date. Emily hesitated. What? The date? She threw the bedroom door open. The hallway was empty, but downstairs, she could clearly hear officers searching. She stood at the top of the staircase. Officer! Silence. Then one flashlight beam slowly turned toward her. A police officer looked up. His face was hidden by darkness. Emily shouted, what day is it? The officer answered immediately. November 21st. Emily froze. Her phone still showed November 17th. The dispatcher whispered, Emily, run. Emily frowned. Why? The dispatcher answered with a trembling voice. Because those aren't officers. The man downstairs slowly smiled. Even from the second floor, Emily could see something impossible. His police badge had no number, no department, no writing, just smooth metal. Then, every officer standing downstairs raised their heads at exactly the same moment. Every single one had Emily's face. All of them smiled together, and in perfect unison, they spoke. We finally remembered which version you are. Emily's body locked in place. 6 police officers stood in her living room. Rainwater dripped from their uniforms. Flashlights pointed toward the staircase. Every one of them had Emily's face. Not similar, not almost identical. Exactly the same. The same freckles. The same scar beneath the left eyebrow she'd gotten from falling off her bicycle at 13. Even the same terrified green eyes. Only, they weren't afraid. They were smiling. All 6 smiled at exactly the same time. As though one mind controlled every body. The dispatcher screamed through the phone. Emily, get away from the stairs. Emily stumbled backward. The officers didn't chase her. They simply watched. One of them slowly removed his police cap. His hair was Emily's. Long, dark, still damp from the rain. He tilted his head, almost sympathetically. Then he spoke. We've been searching for you. For a very long time. Emily shook her head violently. What are you? The officer smiled wider. Instead of answering, he asked, "Which Emily are you?" Her heartbeat accelerated. "What? You don't know anymore." Another officer spoke. "You've forgotten again." A third, "It always happens." A fourth, "Eventually." Then, all six together, "We can help you remember." Emily turned and ran. She sprinted down the upstairs hallway, past the bathroom, past the small office where she spent every weekday working, toward the guest bedroom at the end of the hall. She had lived here for 3 years. She knew this hallway. She knew every room. Or, she thought she did. Halfway down the hall, she stopped. The hallway had become longer, much longer. The guest bedroom door, which had always been only 20 feet away, now looked almost 100 feet from where she stood. She blinked. The distance stretched even farther. The walls slowly expanded. The ceiling climbed higher. Family photographs she'd never seen before appeared along both walls. Every frame contained Emily. Different ages, different hairstyles, different clothes, different decades. One photograph showed her wearing clothes from the 1980s. Another, from the 1960s. One black and white picture looked over 100 years old. Yet every woman in every photograph was Emily. She whispered, "No." The dispatcher spoke quickly. "Don't look at the pictures." Emily tore her eyes away. Immediately, the hallway snapped back to its normal size. The guest bedroom was only a few steps away again. She rushed inside, locked the door, pushed a heavy bookshelf against it. Silence. No footsteps. No knocking. Only her breathing. The room looked untouched. A neatly made bed. A wooden desk. An old wardrobe. Moonlight spilled through the window. Emily slowly approached the window. Maybe she could climb down. Maybe. She froze. The glass reflected the room behind her. The bed. The wardrobe. The desk. Everything. Except her reflection. Emily wasn't in the window. She stepped closer. Nothing. She raised one hand. The room reflected perfectly. The furniture moved. The curtains shifted. But Emily didn't exist. The dispatcher heard her breathing change. "Emily? I don't have a reflection." Silence. Then the dispatcher whispered something so quietly, Emily almost missed it. "It finally stopped recognizing you." Without warning, someone knocked on the guest bedroom door. 3 slow knocks. "Knock! Knock! Knock!" The dispatcher whispered. "Ignore it." Emily nodded. Another knock. Then, a little girl's voice. Soft. No older than 8. "Mommy?" Emily felt her chest tighten. She had never had children. Yet something inside that tiny voice made her eyes fill with tears. "Mommy, why did you leave me downstairs?" Emily whispered, "There isn't a child." The dispatcher answered immediately. "I know. Don't answer." The little girl began crying. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet sobbing. The kind only a lonely child makes. "Mommy, I'm scared." Emily's fingers trembled. The crying continued. "I don't want to stay in the basement anymore." Emily slowly covered her mouth. The dispatcher almost shouted, "It knows compassion works better than fear. Don't move." The crying suddenly stopped. Absolute silence. Then, the little girl laughed. Not like a child, like an old woman. Deep, dry, broken. Emily felt goosebumps spread across her arms. The wardrobe door behind her slowly creaked open. Emily spun around. Darkness. Nothing else. She raised the flashlight. The beam illuminated hanging coats, empty shelves, old blankets. Then, she noticed something at the very back. Another door. Tiny. Barely visible. She frowned. "I've never seen that." The dispatcher became alarmed. "What? There's another door?" "No. There shouldn't be." Emily carefully stepped closer. The tiny wooden door was no more than 4 feet tall, covered in faded blue paint. An old brass doorknob. Above it, someone had carved a date. November 17th. Emily stopped breathing. Today's date. Or, the date she believed was today. The dispatcher whispered, "Emily, don't open it." Emily nodded, then noticed something else. Tiny fingernail marks, hundreds of them, around the edges of the little door, as though someone had desperately tried to claw their way out. Then, from behind the tiny door, a weak voice spoke, barely audible. "Emily?" Emily's eyes widened. The voice continued, "Please, don't leave me here again." Emily recognized it instantly. It wasn't the creature. It wasn't Daniel. It wasn't the dispatcher. It was herself, but older, exhausted, barely alive. The voice whispered one final sentence. "This is where you hide after you die." Emily couldn't breathe. The tiny wooden door stood half-hidden inside the wardrobe. Behind it, someone was crying, not loudly, just enough to sound exhausted, as if they'd spent years crying until there were no tears left. The voice whispered again, "Emily, are you still alive?" Emily instinctively took another step closer. The dispatcher almost screamed through the phone. "Emily, don't touch the handle." Emily stopped. "That's me." "No, it wants you to think that. But it knows things." The dispatcher answered quietly. "So does the house." The room suddenly became colder. Emily watched her own breath appear in front of her face. The temperature dropped so quickly that frost began spreading across the bedroom window. Tiny white crystals slowly crawled over the glass. Then, across the frozen window, someone began writing, not from inside the room, from the outside. An invisible finger slowly carved words through the frost. "You're late." Emily stared. Another sentence appeared beneath it. "She's waiting." Then, one final line. "Under the house." The writing disappeared. The frost melted instantly. The window became clear again. Outside, the neighborhood had changed. There were no streetlights anymore, no parked cars, no neighboring houses, only endless darkness. Her house now stood completely alone, as though the rest of the world had simply vanished. Emily backed away from the window. Her flashlight suddenly flickered. Once, twice, then, instead of white light, it briefly shined red, only for half a second. But during that half second, Emily saw something impossible. The guest bedroom wasn't empty. Dozens of people stood silently around her. Men, women, children, all staring. None of them moved. None of them blinked. Their clothes looked decades apart. Some wore modern clothing. Others looked as though they'd stepped out of the 1950s. One little boy wore suspenders. An elderly woman still clutched a lantern. A teenage girl wore a varsity jacket from the 1980s. Every one of them looked terrified. The flashlight returned to normal. The room was empty again. Emily whispered, "Did you see them?" The dispatcher answered softly, "No." "What happened?" Emily explained. The dispatcher didn't interrupt. When Emily finished, the dispatcher quietly said, "They're still there." Emily felt every hair on her arms stand up. "What? You just can't normally see them." The crying behind the tiny door stopped. Then, a slow scratching sound began. Scratch, 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 as though someone inside was slowly dragging their fingernails across the wood. Emily whispered, "Who's in there?" A long pause. Then the tired voice answered, "You." Emily closed her eyes. "No, not yet." Emily's heart skipped. "What does that mean?" The voice laughed weakly. "You still think time moves forward." The dispatcher suddenly became unusually quiet. Emily noticed. "Dispatcher?" No response. "Are you there?" Nothing. Only static. Then, the dispatcher's voice returned. But something was wrong. There was an echo, almost as if two identical voices were speaking at once. "Emily, leave that room." Emily frowned. "Your voice." "I'm fine." The echo became stronger. "Leave. Now." Emily suddenly remembered something. Back in chapter 1, the creature had copied her voice perfectly. What if could copy the dispatcher's too? Emily asked quietly, "What's my eye color?" Silence. 5 seconds. 10. Then the dispatcher answered. Green. Correct. Emily relaxed, until the dispatcher added, At least. They used to be. Emily froze. What? The dispatcher sounded confused. I didn't mean to say that. Her voice trembled. I don't know why I said that. Without warning, Emily heard another phone ringing. Not downstairs this time. Inside the wardrobe, behind the tiny door, an old rotary telephone. Ring, ring, ring. The tired voice whispered, Please, answer it this time. Emily stared at the tiny doorknob. The ringing continued. The dispatcher kept repeating, Don't open it. Don't answer. The voice inside begged, If you don't, you'll become me. Emily's breathing became uneven. Who are you? The answer came immediately. I'm Emily Carter. No, you aren't. I was. Emily's blood turned cold. What year is it? The voice answered. 2029. Emily slowly shook her head. No. I've only lived here 3 years. The voice laughed. So did I. Then, the entire house shook violently. Not like an earthquake, like something enormous had slammed into the foundation from beneath. Boom! Dust poured from the ceiling. The bookshelf slid away from the bedroom door by itself. Boom! Another impact. Stronger. Emily lost her balance and fell to one knee. The dispatcher shouted, Emily, something's moving. The floorboards beneath her feet began to rise. Not crack, rise, like something underneath was pushing upward. A long bulge slowly traveled across the wooden floor, from one side of the room, toward the wardrobe, toward Emily, as if something unbelievably large was crawling beneath the floor. The bulge stopped, directly under the tiny door. Silence. Then, a deep voice echoed from beneath the house, not through the air, through the wood itself. Every wall vibrated with it. Every window rattled. Every picture frame shook. The voice said only one sentence. Bring her back to the basement. The tiny door unlocked itself. Click. And, very slowly, it began to open on its own. The tiny wooden door opened only an inch, then stopped. Darkness filled the narrow gap. Not ordinary darkness. This darkness seemed thick, almost alive. Emily instinctively stepped backward. The dispatcher spoke immediately. Don't let it open any farther. Emily whispered, How? I don't know. Just don't let it. Before Emily could react, a pale hand slowly appeared through the opening. Thin, covered with scratches. The fingernails were torn almost to the skin. The wrist looked bruised. The hand didn't reach for Emily. Instead, it gently pushed the tiny door shut again. Click. Silence. Emily frowned. What? The exhausted voice behind the door whispered, I bought you another minute. The entire house groaned. A deep vibration rolled through every wall. Boom! Another impact beneath the floor. This time, the ceiling light exploded. Glass rained across the bedroom. Only Emily's flashlight remained. Its beam trembled in her shaking hand. The dispatcher suddenly shouted at someone in the background. No! Don't send another unit! Emily frowned. What's happening? No answer. Instead, she heard chaos inside dispatch. Phones ringing, people yelling, computer alarms. Someone shouted, Another address. Another replied, They're all the same address. Emily's stomach tightened. What does that mean? The dispatcher returned. Her breathing was uneven. Emily, we've received 6 more emergency calls. From your house. Emily whispered, What? They're happening. At different years. Emily slowly approached the bedroom window again. Outside, the darkness had disappeared. The neighborhood was back. Rain had returned. Streetlights glowed normally. Police cars now surrounded the property. At least 8 of them. Their red and blue lights flashed across the wet pavement. Emily nearly cried with relief. They found me. The dispatcher remained silent. Officers stepped out of their vehicles, weapons drawn, flashlights sweeping the yard. Emily could finally see real people. One officer looked up, directly at her bedroom window. He pointed. Another officer nodded. Emily waved desperately. "Help!" None of them reacted. She pounded on the glass. Nothing. It was as if they couldn't see her. Then, one officer walked to the front porch. Emily watched him disappear inside. 30 seconds passed. 1 minute. 2. Suddenly, every officer ran back outside. One of them vomited in the front yard. Another stumbled backward, making the sign of the cross. A third officer dropped his flashlight. Then, without warning, every police car left. One after another. Sirens off. Lights still flashing. Within seconds, the street was empty again. Emily stared in disbelief. "They left me," the dispatcher quietly replied. "They didn't." "What?" "They never found you." Emily felt the room getting colder again. The flashlight flickered. For just a second, she saw them, the silent people. Only this time, there were hundreds, standing shoulder to shoulder, filling every inch of the bedroom, watching her. A little girl, an old soldier, pregnant woman, teenage boy, a firefighter, a nurse. Some looked terrified. Some looked hopeless. Some simply looked tired. The light returned to normal. They vanished. Emily whispered, "They're getting closer." The dispatcher answered softly, "Yes, they always do." Then, the wardrobe door slammed shut. Bang! Emily jumped. The tiny door behind it disappeared from sight. But the crying hadn't stopped. Now, came from beneath the floor, directly under Emily's feet. "Please, don't let him find me." Emily knelt, placed one hand against the wooden floorboards. They were warm, almost like human skin. She instantly pulled her hand away. The floor pulsed once, like a heartbeat. Emily stared. It happened again. Thump. The house had a heartbeat. Then, something impossible happened. Her phone screen suddenly lit up. Not from a call. Not from a message. The wallpaper changed by itself. It was now a photograph. Emily had never seen it before. It showed the front of her house, taken during daylight. A date was stamped in the corner. November 17th, 1998. Emily wasn't looking at the house. She was looking at the front yard, where dozens of police officers stood, digging. One corner of the image had been circled in red. Emily zoomed in. At first, she couldn't understand what she was seeing. Then her blood turned to ice. The officers weren't digging into the ground. They were digging someone out. A woman's arm was visible beneath the dirt. On her wrist, the same silver bracelet Emily had worn every day since college. Emily whispered, "That's me." The dispatcher's voice cracked. "No!" A pause. Then, "That's the first Emily." Silence filled the room. Emily slowly looked down at her own hands, her bracelet, her skin, her heartbeat. Then, from somewhere deep beneath the house, a massive iron door slowly began to open. The sound echoed through every wall, metal grinding against metal, chains dragging across concrete. And from the darkness below, hundreds of voices whispered together. "She finally remembers." Emily couldn't move. The whisper echoed through the house. "She finally remembers." The floor vibrated beneath her feet. Then, everything stopped. No heartbeat, no whispering, no footsteps, absolute silence. Felt unnatural, as if the entire house was listening. Emily finally spoke. "Dispatcher?" Only static answered. "Are you still there?" A faint voice returned. Weak, broken. "I'm here." It sounded as though the dispatcher was speaking from miles away. "Emily, listen carefully. I don't have much time." Emily tightened her grip on the phone. "What is this place?" The dispatcher took a slow breath. "We finally found the original property records." Emily waited. This house was never built as a home. A chill ran through her body. "What was it?" The dispatcher answered. "A research facility." Emily frowned. "What kind of research?" "No one knows. The building existed before the town. Before the roads, before electricity. Emily looked around. The walls suddenly felt older, much older. The wallpaper, the wooden beams, the staircase. Had they always looked this ancient? The dispatcher continued. When the first workers arrived, they reported hearing voices beneath the ground. They sealed the basement. Emily whispered, "It didn't work." No, it made things worse. A loud click echoed from downstairs, like an old cassette player starting. Then, a man's voice filled the house. Calm, professional. "This is research log 184. Emily froze. The voice continued. "If anyone discovers these recordings, leave immediately." The tape crackled. "We believed the structure was haunted. We were wrong." Another burst of static. "It is alive." Emily slowly walked into the hallway. The voice echoed from below. "It doesn't kill people. It copies them." Emily stopped walking. "It studies memory. It learns identity. And once it knows everything about you, it no longer needs you." Emily felt sick. The tape continued. Subject 21. Believes she has lived here for 3 years. Emily's breathing stopped. The voice calmly added, "She has actually been here for 31 years. Emily whispered, "No." The recorder continued. Every failed escape results in memory reconstruction. Subject awakens believing only one night has passed. Emily stumbled against the wall. The dispatcher whispered, "Emily, I think you're subject 21. Emily shook her head. "No, my parents, my childhood, my college, my marriage, they're real." The tape answered, as though it had heard her. Most implanted memories remain stable. Emily froze. Family memories survive longest. Romantic relationships stabilize personality. False employment improves routine. Emily's stomach turned. The tape ended with one final sentence. "If subject 21 remembers, contain immediately." Click. Silence. Then, Emily heard footsteps. Not downstairs, not upstairs. Inside the walls. Running. Dozens of them. Like people desperately trying to escape through the inside of the house. The walls began vibrating. Emily watched tiny cracks spread across the paint. From every crack, eyes appeared. Human eyes. Hundreds of them. Blinking. Watching. Following her every movement. Some cried. Some looked terrified. Others silently begged for help. Then every eye turned toward the ceiling. Together, as if something enormous had just awakened above them. Emily slowly looked up. A shadow crossed the ceiling. Not outside. Inside. Something unbelievably large moved across the floor above her. Except, there wasn't another floor above the second floor. The house groaned. Every light exploded. Darkness swallowed everything. Only the phone screen remained illuminated. Suddenly, a notification appeared. Voice recording restored. File name: Emily_01.wave. Duration: 3 minutes and 11 seconds. The dispatcher whispered, "Don't play it." Emily stared. Below the file name, a date appeared. Recorded, November 17th, 1998. Emily's hand trembled. 31 years earlier. She slowly pressed play. A little girl's voice filled the hallway. Scared, crying, barely able to breathe. "My name is Emily Carter." Emily's entire body went numb. The child continued. "The man downstairs said, 'I'll forget if I survive.'" She sobbed. "If you're listening, you're me." Emily stopped breathing. The recording ended with one sentence, spoken in the voice of an 8-year-old child. "Please don't let them erase us again." Emily's hand went numb. The phone nearly slipped from her fingers. The voice, the frightened little girl, had called herself Emily Carter. She whispered, "That's impossible." The dispatcher answered quietly, "I know, but we've just confirmed something." Emily looked down the hallway. What? There was an Emily Carter reported missing in 1998. Emily froze. How old? 8. The same age as the girl in the recording. Emily tried to breathe. This has to be coincidence. The dispatcher didn't answer. Instead, a file opened on her computer by itself. Emily hadn't touched the keyboard. An old newspaper appeared on the screen. Yellowed, scanned, barely readable. The headline said, "Local child vanishes without a trace." Below it, a school photograph. Emily stared at it. The little girl was herself. Not similar, not resembling. Exactly. The same green eyes, the same smile, the same small scar beside her eyebrow. Emily whispered, "No, my parents would have remembered." The dispatcher replied softly, "Maybe they did." The house suddenly became warm, too warm, like someone had turned on dozens of heaters. The wallpaper began peeling away from the walls. Long strips slowly fell to the floor. Behind them, there wasn't drywall. There were names, thousands of names. Every wall, covered from floor to ceiling. Some carved, some painted, some scratched with fingernails. Emily slowly aimed the flashlight across them. Sarah Collins, James Holloway, Michael Ross, Anna White, hundreds, thousands. Then, near the center, she found it. Emily Carter. Not once, again, and again, and again, dozens of times. Every version had a different year beside it. Each name ended the same way. Returned, except one. The final carving simply read, Emily Carter. Still running. Emily's heart pounded. I'm the last one. A deep laugh echoed beneath the house. Not evil, not angry, patient, ancient. The walls vibrated as the voice spoke. Not the last. A long pause. Then, the favorite. Every light in the house turned on at once. Emily squeezed her eyes shut. When she opened them again, the hallway had changed. It was no longer her house. Instead, she stood inside a long underground corridor. Concrete walls, rusted pipes, old fluorescent lights flickering overhead. Metal doors lined both sides. Every door had a number. Room 03, Room 08, Room 14, Room 20. At the very end, one massive steel door. Room 21. The door slowly opened. Inside, someone was sitting in a chair, back turned toward Emily. Long dark hair, gray sweater, blue jeans. Exactly what Emily herself was wearing. The woman slowly stood, turned around. She looked older, perhaps 60 years old. Thin, exhausted, eyes filled with decades of fear. She smiled sadly. "You actually made it this far." Emily whispered, "Who are you?" The woman answered, without hesitation, "I'm the only Emily who remembered everything." Emily couldn't move. The older woman stood in the doorway of room 21, looking at her with exhausted eyes. She wasn't a monster. She wasn't smiling unnaturally. She looked broken, as though she'd spent an entire lifetime waiting for someone. Finally, she whispered, "You came." Emily stared. "Who are you?" The woman smiled sadly. "I told you. I'm Emily, the first one who remembered." Emily slowly shook her head. "No, I'm Emily." The older woman nodded. "I know. So was I." The underground corridor felt strangely familiar. Emily looked at the numbered doors. "How many rooms are there?" The older Emily answered, 21. Emily frowned. "Only 21? The woman slowly looked at the floor. "No, only 21 survivors." A chill ran through Emily's body. What happened to the others? The older Emily didn't answer. Instead, she pointed toward the open room. "Come inside." Emily hesitated. The dispatcher suddenly returned. Loud, panicked. "Emily, do not enter room 21. The older woman sighed. "She always says that." Emily froze. "You can hear her?" The older Emily nodded. "I've heard every dispatcher. For 31 years. Emily looked into room 21. It wasn't a prison cell. It looked like an ordinary bedroom. A small bed, wooden desk, lamp, bookshelf. exactly like Emily's bedroom upstairs. Even the family photographs were the same. The older Emily quietly said, "The house recreates whatever makes us feel safe." Emily whispered, "Then why stay here?" The woman slowly sat on the edge of the bed. "Because it's the only room where it can't hear your thoughts." Emily frowned. "What?" "The rest of the house listens. It learns. It changes. But this room," she gently touched the wall, "belongs to us." Emily suddenly noticed something sitting on the desk. A stack of journals. Dozens of them. Every cover had the same title. Emily Carter. Volume 1. Volume 2. Volume 3. Volume 46. She looked at the older woman. "You wrote all these?" The woman nodded. "Every time I remembered." Emily slowly opened the first notebook. The handwriting looked exactly like her own. The first page contained only one sentence. "If you're reading this, you've forgotten again." Emily's hands began trembling. She flipped another page. Another. Every notebook described the same night. Different endings. Different choices. Sometimes Emily escaped. Sometimes she reached the basement. Sometimes she answered the mysterious phone. Every story ended identically. "Reset." Emily whispered, "We've done this before." The older Emily nodded. "Hundreds of times." A distant roar echoed through the underground corridor. The lights flickered. The older Emily stood immediately. "It found you." Emily looked around. "What found me?" The woman answered with genuine fear. "Don't call it a monster. It hates that." Emily swallowed. "What is it?" The older Emily slowly shook her head. "I've never seen all of it. No one has. We've only seen the parts it wants us to see." Suddenly, every metal door in the corridor slammed shut. Boom, 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 one after another. The lights turned blood red. An old emergency speaker crackled to life. A calm male voice echoed through the corridor. "Containment breach." Emily froze. The announcement continued. "Subject 21 has regained awareness." Pause. Then, "Memory reset protocol will begin in 60 seconds." Emily stared at the older woman. "Memory reset?" The older Emily nodded. "We're out of time." She grabbed Emily's wrist. "For the first time, we're not running." Emily frowned. "What are we doing?" The older Emily looked directly into her eyes. Her voice became steady, determined. "We're going to the basement." Emily's blood ran cold. "But that's where it wants us." The older Emily smiled. "No, it's where it's hiding." The emergency speaker counted down. 55 seconds. 54. The corridor floor trembled violently. Somewhere far below, something massive let out a slow, deep breath. The older Emily whispered one final sentence before pulling her toward a massive steel elevator at the end of the corridor. "Tonight, we stop running." The elevator doors slowly opened. Inside, instead of going up or down, there was only one button, a black button, labeled. The elevator doors slid open without a sound. Inside, there was no control panel, no emergency button, no floor indicator, only one black button. Basement level 0. Emily looked at the older version of herself. "There isn't a basement." The older Emily gave a tired smile. "There never was." Emily frowned. "What does that mean?" "The basement everyone talks about isn't underground." She slowly pressed the black button. "It's underneath reality." The elevator doors closed. Instantly, every sound disappeared. Not even breathing. Emily looked around in panic. The older Emily calmly counted with her fingers. 1, 2, 3, then whispered, "Wait." At exactly the 5th second, something outside the elevator scratched across the metal walls. Not one thing. Hundreds. Thousands. Long nails dragging across steel. Emily covered her ears. The sound grew louder. The walls bent inward slightly, as though enormous hands were pressing against them. The lights flickered. Then, every wall became transparent. Emily gasped. The elevator wasn't moving through a building. It was descending through endless darkness. Floating around it were countless houses, entire homes, suspended in black emptiness. Each house looked abandoned. Some burned, some flooded, some broken in half. Every few seconds, one disappeared, another appeared. Emily whispered, "What am I looking at?" The older Emily answered quietly, "Every house it has ever lived in." The elevator suddenly stopped. Ding. The doors opened. Emily expected a basement. Instead, she saw a city. Complete city. Silent. Empty. Covered in dust. Streetlights stood frozen. Cars sat abandoned in intersections. Children's bicycles lay on sidewalks. Store signs flickered weakly. Everything looked as though people had vanished. In the middle of ordinary life, Emily slowly stepped outside. "What is this?" The older Emily whispered. "This is level 0, the place where forgotten memories go." As they walked, Emily noticed something strange. Every building had familiar names. Her elementary school, the grocery store she visited every weekend, her college library, the cafe where Daniel had proposed. Everything from her life existed here, except everything was empty. No people, no birds, no wind, only silence. The older Emily stopped beside a mailbox. She opened it. Inside, hundreds of unopened letters. Every envelope had Emily's name. She handed one to the younger Emily. "Open it." Emily carefully unfolded the paper. It was written in her own handwriting. "Dear Emily, if you're reading this, you made it farther than I ever did." The letter was signed, Emily Carter, age 47. Emily whispered, 47. The older Emily nodded. "You wrote that. I've never been 47. The woman looked directly into her eyes. "Not yet." A low rumble echoed through the empty city. The pavement trembled. Car alarms suddenly activated all at once. Thousands of them. Their sound echoed through the empty streets. The older Emily immediately grabbed her hand. "We have to move." "What is it?" "It heard us." They began running. Behind them, traffic lights turned green, then red, then green again. Store windows lit up. Televisions switched on by themselves. Every screen showed the same image. Emily, sleeping peacefully in her bedroom. The younger Emily stopped running. "That's me." "No." The older Emily pulled her forward. "That's the version that's about to replace you." Emily felt sick. "What?" "It always creates another one." Before deleting the last, they reached the center of the abandoned city. There, a gigantic clock tower rose into the darkness. His hands were frozen at 2:17, the exact time the nightmare began. The older Emily whispered, "This is where it started." Emily looked upward. The clock suddenly moved. Not forward, backward. Tick, tick, tick. Each movement echoed across the empty city. Then, a deep voice rolled through every street. Not from the sky, not from underground, from everywhere. "Emily Carter." The buildings shook. Streetlights exploded. Windows shattered. The voice spoke again, slower, almost amused. "You were never supposed to remember this far." Emily's knees weakened. The older Emily slowly stepped in front of her, protecting her. For the first time, the ancient voice laughed. "To Emilys." Again, a massive shadow slowly rose behind the clock tower. At first, Emily thought it was a mountain. Then it moved. Two enormous eyes opened in the darkness, each one larger than an entire building. They blinked once. The city disappeared into silence. The creature spoke one final sentence. "Welcome back, Subject 21." The creature's voice faded into the darkness. Only one Emily is allowed to leave. Silence returned. Not peaceful silence, the kind that exists just before something terrible happens. The older Emily slowly lowered her eyes. "I knew it would eventually say that." The younger Emily stared at her. "What does it mean?" The older woman smiled sadly. "It means we've reached the end." Outside the library, the gigantic creature remained motionless. Its countless faces slowly shifted beneath its skin. Every few seconds, Another human face appeared, then disappeared. Emily suddenly recognized one. Daniel. He wasn't screaming. He wasn't crying. He simply looked empty, like someone who had forgotten his own name. Then another face emerged. The first dispatcher. Then the retired dispatcher. Then the little girl from Recording 01. Then the police officers. Every person Emily had encountered inside the house was trapped within the creature. The older Emily quietly whispered, "It doesn't kill people. It archives them." Emily looked around the abandoned library. So, everyone is still alive? The older Emily slowly shook her head. Not exactly. They're memories pretending to be people. Emily frowned. I don't understand. The older Emily picked up an old mirror lying on the floor. The glass was cracked. She held it toward Emily. Look. Emily looked into the reflection. She expected to see herself. Instead, she saw dozens of Emilys. A little girl, a teenager, a bride, an old woman, a frightened mother holding a child, a woman in a hospital bed, versions of herself, living lives she had never lived. The mirror cracked again. Every reflection disappeared, leaving only one. The Emily standing here. The older Emily whispered, "That's why it chose you." The library suddenly shook. Books began falling from the shelves. Dust filled the air. The emergency speaker crackled again. Memory reset protocol. 20 minutes remaining. The countdown had begun. The older Emily walked toward the missing cassette slot. She reached inside the empty shelf and pulled out something Emily hadn't noticed. A small brass key, old, covered in strange symbols. Emily frowned. A key. The older Emily nodded. The only real object that survives every reset. What does it open? The front door. Emily laughed nervously. The front door? No, the real front door. Emily stopped smiling. The older Emily placed the key into Emily's hand. Felt warm, almost alive. The moment Emily touched it, images exploded inside her mind. She saw a little girl running through endless hallways, a teenage Emily pounding on locked doors, a woman with gray hair writing dozens of journals, police officers entering the house, only to disappear, researchers screaming underground, children crying in darkness, the enormous creature opening one impossible eye. For the first time, thousands, maybe millions, of memories flooded her mind. Emily collapsed onto one knee. The older Emily grabbed her shoulders. Breathe, Emily gasped. I remember. Tears rolled down her face. I remember dying. The older Emily nodded. I know. I drowned. I burned. I grew old. I escaped. I came back. The older Emily whispered. Those weren't dreams. They were resets. Suddenly, the creature laughed. A deep, ancient laugh that echoed through every street. Good. Remember everything. Emily looked toward the giant shadow. Why would it want that? For the first time, the creature answered directly. Because despair tastes better than confusion. The older Emily's face turned pale. It never talks this much. Emily looked up. Why now? The older Emily whispered. Because it's buying time. The ground beneath the library suddenly cracked open. A gigantic fissure spread through the city streets. Emily looked down. There was no earth beneath. Only darkness. Infinite darkness. Within that darkness, thousands of glowing windows floated. Every window showed a different Emily. One laughing, one crying, one sleeping, one dying, one answering a 911 call. The older Emily quietly said, "Those are the timelines." Emily whispered, "How many are there?" The answer came from the creature itself. Enough. Until one finally chooses correctly. Emily felt a cold wave wash over her. Chooses what? The creature's countless faces smiled together. Who deserves to exist? Silence. The older Emily slowly stepped away from her. Emily frowned. What are you doing? The older Emily's eyes filled with tears. For 31 years, I thought escaping was the answer. She smiled. I was wrong. Emily's heartbeat quickened. What do you mean? The older Emily gently closed Emily's fingers around the brass key. There has only ever been one way out. Emily whispered, Tell me. The older Emily looked directly into her eyes. Her voice broke. One Emily has to willingly stay behind. A long pause. Then, so the other can finally wake up. Emily stared at the brass key in her trembling hand. The older Emily had just whispered, One Emily has to willingly stay behind. So the other can finally wake up. Emily slowly stepped backward. No, there has to be another way. The older Emily smiled sadly. I've spent 31 years looking for one. I never found it. The ancient creature watched them from beyond the city. Its countless faces shifted endlessly. Some cried, some laughed, some silently mouthed words Emily couldn't understand. Then, one face remained. It was the face of the 8-year-old Emily from the old recording. She looked directly at Emily and whispered, Don't trust it. The face disappeared. The creature smiled. As always, they're trying to save each other. The emergency announcement echoed again. Memory reset protocol. 15 minutes remaining. The ground shook violently. Large cracks spread through the abandoned city. Buildings slowly began collapsing, not into the ground, but upward. Chunks of concrete floated into the sky. Streetlights drifted like balloons. Cars lifted silently into the darkness. Reality itself was breaking apart. The older Emily grabbed Emily's hand. We're almost out of time. Come. They ran toward the frozen clock tower. Inside, instead of gears, the tower contained a spiral staircase leading downward. Every step was made of old wood. Every railing was stained with fingerprints. Emily noticed something carved into each step. Different handwriting. Different years. Don't look back. It lies. Keep the key. We almost made it. The messages became more desperate the farther they descended. I'm forgetting. If you remember me, I'm real. Finally, one final carving. Fresh, as if written only moments ago. Emily, I'm sorry. The younger Emily stopped walking. You wrote this. The older Emily slowly nodded. Yesterday, Emily frowned. But you've been here for 31 years. The older Emily whispered, Yesterday. For me. At the bottom of the staircase, a single wooden door waited. Unlike every other door, this one looked ordinary. White paint, silver doorknob, a brass plate simply read, Memory. The older Emily stopped. Behind this door is the only memory it couldn't erase. Emily swallowed. My real life. The older Emily nodded. Your first one. Emily slowly opened the door. Sunlight flooded the room. Warm, golden sunlight. After hours trapped in darkness, it almost hurt her eyes. She stepped inside. A small suburban backyard. Children laughing. Birds singing. A swing gently moving beneath a tree. An 8-year-old girl chased bubbles across the grass. Emily froze. It was her. The real Emily. Not frightened. Not trapped. Just happy. A woman stood on the porch. Her mother, smiling, calling, Emily, dinner's ready. The little girl laughed. I'm coming. Tears rolled down the older Emily's face. That's the last real memory. Emily whispered, What happened? The older Emily couldn't answer. Instead, the memory continued playing. The little Emily ran toward the front gate. A red ball rolled into the street. She chased it. A black van slowly stopped beside the curb. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out. Emily couldn't see his face, only his shadow. The little girl smiled politely. The man knelt beside her, said something. She nodded, then reached out her hand. The memory shattered like glass. Everything vanished. Emily stumbled backward. No! No! The older Emily whispered, You were never born inside the house. You were taken. Emily's entire body trembled. My parents. They searched for me? For years. Emily collapsed to her knees. They never abandoned you. They never stopped looking. The words hit harder than anything the creature had done. All these years, she had believed no one came. Someone had. They just never found her. A thunderous roar shook the city. The creature had moved closer. Its enormous eye now filled the entire sky. It looked directly through the doorway. At the memory, his voice was no longer calm. It sounded angry. Enough! For the first time, the creature lost control. The entire city shook violently. Buildings collapsed. The frozen clock shattered. The emergency speaker blared. Memory reset protocol. 10 minutes remaining. The older Emily grabbed the younger Emily by both shoulders. Her voice was urgent now. No more running. No more hiding. We end this. Emily wiped the tears from her face. How? The older Emily slowly raised the brass key. There is one door. Even it cannot open. Emily looked at the key. Where is it? The older Emily pointed into the darkness beneath the collapsing city. Far below, a single white door stood alone. No walls, no building, just a door. Waiting, the older Emily whispered, "Behind that door is the truth it has feared for 31 years. The city was collapsing. Buildings folded into darkness. Roads cracked apart. The sky itself splintered like broken glass. Only one thing remained untouched. The white door, standing alone. No walls, no roof, just a simple white wooden door. Waiting, the older Emily tightened her grip on the brass key. We have less than 10 minutes. Emily nodded. Together, they ran. Every step toward the white door became harder. The ground beneath them stretched unnaturally. What should have taken seconds became minutes. The creature wasn't chasing them. It simply watched. Its enormous eyes never blinked. Then its voice echoed gently, almost kindly. "Emily, you're tired." The younger Emily ignored it. Another voice followed. This one belonged to her mother. "Sweetheart, come home." Emily's legs slowed. She hadn't heard her mother's voice in decades. The older Emily grabbed her arm. "Don't listen." The voice changed again. "Daniel, I'm waiting for you." Then, the dispatcher. "We were wrong. You've already escaped." Emily covered her ears, but the voices came from inside her own head. The emergency announcement echoed again. Memory reset protocol. 8 minutes remaining. The creature smiled. Every step toward the truth costs a memory. Emily frowned. What? Instantly, she forgot her first day of college. The memory simply vanished. She gasped. My college. I can't remember it." The older Emily closed her eyes. It started. Another step. Emily suddenly forgot her wedding day. She remembered Daniel. She remembered loving him. But she couldn't remember his face anymore. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "It's taking everything." The older Emily whispered, "I know. It always does." They finally reached the white door. Emily placed her hand on the knob. Locked. The older Emily handed her the brass key. "Only you can open it." Emily slowly inserted the key. Click. Nothing happened. The door remained closed. Emily looked confused. It didn't work. The older Emily smiled sadly. "It needs one more thing." "What?" "A memory." Emily froze. "No." The older Emily nodded. "The key only turns when you willingly let go." Emily closed her eyes. Thousands of memories flashed before her. Birthdays, school, friends, her father teaching her to ride a bicycle, her mother's laughter, Daniel's proposal. If she gave one away, it would never return. The creature whispered softly, "See, the truth isn't worth it." Emily's hand trembled. Then she smiled. "I know exactly which memory." The older Emily looked surprised. Emily whispered, "I don't need fear anymore." She closed her eyes and willingly released the memory of her very first night inside the house. The worst memory she'd ever carried. The key suddenly became warm. It slowly turned. The white door unlocked. As the door opened, a blinding light poured out. Not frightening, peaceful, warm. Emily stepped inside. There was nothing, only endless white. No walls, no floor, no ceiling. At the center, a little girl sat quietly on the ground, 8 years old, holding a red rubber ball. She looked up, smiled. "Hi." Emily's heart stopped. "You're me." The little girl nodded. "No." She smiled wider. "I'm the only part of you that was never copied." Emily slowly knelt beside her. The child gently placed the red ball into Emily's hands, then whispered, "Now you finally know which Emily is real." Behind them, the white door slammed shut by itself. Outside, the creature let out its first scream. Not of anger, of fear. The creature screamed. The sound shattered the white emptiness. Not with rage, with pain. For the first time, Emily realized something impossible. The creature could be hurt. The little girl gently held Emily's hand. "Come, there's not much time." Emily followed her. The endless white slowly dissolved. A long stone hallway appeared before them. Unlike every place she'd seen before, nothing here changed. Nothing moved. The walls were ancient, covered with symbols older than any language Emily had ever seen. The little girl whispered, "This place existed before the house." Behind them, a loud crash echoed. The creature had broken through the white door. Darkness slowly poured into the hallway like black water. The little girl didn't look back. "It can't fully enter. Not unless you let it." Emily frowned. "What are you?" The child smiled. "I'm your first memory, the one it could never copy." They reached a circular chamber. At its center, a massive stone well. No water, only darkness. Cold air rose from it. Emily carefully looked inside. There was no bottom, only countless tiny lights, floating deep below. "What are those?" The little girl answered, "Everyone." Emily looked again. Each tiny light slowly moved, almost like stars. "No, they're souls." The child quietly nodded. "People who forgot themselves." The creature's voice echoed from the hallway, no longer calm, no longer confident. "Emily, leave that room." The little girl smiled. "See, it's afraid." Emily whispered, "Why?" The child pointed into the well. "Because that's where its heart is." Emily stared. "The creature has a heart, not a human one." "But yes." Suddenly, the darkness inside the well began rising. Slowly, something enormous emerged. Not the creature, a giant black root, as thick as a building, pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Thump, thump, thump. Every pulse shook reality. The child looked at Emily. "That's what feeds it." Emily stepped closer. The root wasn't made of wood. It was made of memories. Faces appeared inside it. Thousands of faces, laughing, crying, living entire lives, then disappearing forever. Emily whispered, "It's stealing them." The child nodded. "It survives because people remember." The emergency announcement echoed one final time. Memory reset protocol. 5 minutes remaining. The creature's shadow filled the hallway entrance. Could not enter the chamber. But it didn't need to. Its voice became soft again, almost loving. "Emily, destroy the root, and every trapped soul disappears forever." Emily froze. The child remained silent. The creature continued, "Walk away, and I'll release you." Emily looked toward the child. "Is it lying?" The little girl answered honestly, "No." Emily's heart sank. "If I destroy it, everyone dies?" The child lowered her head. "Yes. If you don't, everyone stays trapped." Silence. An impossible choice. The older Emily suddenly entered the chamber. She had been injured. Blood ran down one side of her face. She smiled weakly. "I finally remembered." Emily rushed toward her. "Are you okay?" The older Emily gently hugged her. "For the first time, I don't need to survive." She looked into Emily's eyes. The choice was never about escaping. It was about ending the cycle. The creature laughed once more. "Choose wisely." Subject 21. Emily slowly turned toward the living root. His heartbeat grew louder. Thump, thump, thump. She tightened her grip on the brass key, then took one slow step toward the heart of the house. Behind her, the older Emily whispered one final sentence. "Whatever you choose, let it be the last time." Emily stood before the living root, pulsed slowly. Each heartbeat echoed through the chamber. Thump, a child's laughter echoed inside it. Thump, someone whispered a prayer. Thump, a woman cried for help. Millions of memories, millions of lives, all feeding the same ancient thing. Emily tightened her grip on the brass key. The creature's enormous eye appeared at the entrance of the chamber. It no longer looked terrifying. It looked desperate. Its voice became almost gentle. "Emily, I never wanted to hurt anyone." Emily stared at it. "You trapped them." The creature answered quietly. "I preserved them. You stole their lives. I saved their memories." Emily frowned. "What difference does that make?" The creature remained silent. The older Emily slowly walked beside her. "When I first reached this room, I believed it." Emily looked at her. "You didn't destroy the heart?" The older Emily shook her head. "I couldn't. I thought keeping everyone alive was the kinder choice." Tears filled her eyes. "But every reset created more victims." The little girl stepped closer to the root. She gently touched it. Immediately, thousands of voices cried out together, not in pain, in fear. Emily whispered, "They're scared." The little girl nodded. "They don't know what comes after." The creature spoke again. For the first time, his voice sounded lonely. "Before humans, I was alone." The chamber fell silent. "I could not dream. I could not remember. Then your kind arrived." Emily listened without speaking. "Every memory you created became light. Every life became warmth." Its enormous eye slowly closed. "I only wanted the light to last forever." Emily realized something. It doesn't understand death. The older Emily whispered, "No, it only understands keeping." The emergency speaker echoed one final warning. Memory reset protocol. 1 minute remaining. The chamber shook violently. Cracks spread across the ceiling. The creature raised its voice. "Choose. Destroy me, and every memory disappears. Leave me alive, and someone else will answer the next 911 call." Emily closed her eyes. She thought about her parents. Daniel, the dispatcher, the frightened little girl, every victim. Then, she remembered something the child had said. "I'm the only part of you it could never copy." Emily suddenly smiled. The older Emily looked confused. "What?" Emily slowly held up the brass key. "I've been thinking about something. The key never opened doors. It opened truth." The little girl smiled for the first time. "You figured it out." Emily walked toward the root, but instead of stabbing it, she placed the brass key against it. Nothing happened. Then, a faint golden light spread through the root. The creature suddenly screamed, not in pain, in realization. Its voice trembled. "No! Don't let them remember." Every glowing memory inside the root suddenly broke free. Thousands, millions, like stars exploding into the night sky. Faces began disappearing from the creature's body. The dispatcher smiled, then vanished into light. Daniel looked peaceful, then disappeared. Children, parents, police officers, researchers, one by one, every trapped memory was finally released. The creature became smaller, 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 until only one face remained, its own. For the first time, Emily saw it clearly. It wasn't a monster. It looked like a frightened child, older than time, completely alone. It whispered, "If they all leave, I'll be forgotten." Emily slowly walked toward it. She gently placed her hand against its face, then whispered, "Being remembered isn't the same as being loved." The creature closed its eyes. A single tear fell, then it smiled. For the very first time, its body dissolved into countless tiny lights, joining every soul that had just been freed. Silence filled the chamber. The root crumbled into dust. The heartbeat stopped. Forever. The little girl looked at Emily and smiled. You didn't destroy it. You set it free. Everything around them began turning white. The house, the basement, the city, every impossible place started disappearing. The older Emily looked at the younger Emily one last time. She smiled with tears in her eyes. Go home. She slowly faded into the light, as if she had never been trapped at all. Silence. For the first time, there were no footsteps, no whispers, no heartbeat beneath the floor, no creature watching from the darkness. Only warm sunlight. Emily slowly opened her eyes. She was lying on soft green grass. Birds were singing. A gentle breeze moved through the trees. She blinked several times. Above her, a blue sky, real clouds, real sunlight, no endless darkness, no impossible city, nothing, just morning. Emily slowly sat up. Her entire body ached. She looked around. An empty field surrounded her. Several police cars stood nearby. Real police cars, real officers, an ambulance, yellow crime scene tape, people talking. Someone suddenly shouted, "She's awake!" Several officers ran toward her. Paramedic knelt beside her. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" Emily stared at him. He had only one face, one pair of eyes, no smile that felt unnatural. He looked human. She whispered, "What day is it?" The paramedic answered, "November 21st. Emily closed her eyes. The date matched. For the first time, nothing contradicted itself. A woman pushed through the crowd. Older, gray hair, tears streaming down her face. She stopped a few feet away, unable to speak. Emily looked at her. Something deep inside her heart recognized her instantly. The woman whispered, "Emily?" Emily's lips trembled. "Mom!" The woman collapsed into her arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "I never stopped looking. I never stopped." Emily held her tightly. For the first time in 31 years, she felt home. Several hours later, Emily sat inside an ambulance wrapped in a blanket. An FBI agent approached her. He placed a dusty cardboard box on the seat. "We found this underground." Emily slowly opened it. Inside, 21 journals. Every journal the older Emily had written, exactly as she'd remembered. She gently touched the first notebook. The FBI agent frowned. "Do you know who wrote them?" Emily smiled sadly. "Yes, my best friend." Weeks passed. The old house was demolished. Investigators searched beneath the foundation for months. They found nothing. No underground laboratory. No hidden basement. No bodies. No evidence the impossible city had ever existed. Officially, the case was closed. Authorities called it a psychological episode. Emily never argued, because she knew no one would believe the truth. 1 year later, Emily had a small apartment, a quiet life. She worked at a public library. She laughed again. She smiled again. Sometimes, she even forgot, but never completely. On the bookshelf beside her bed, the 21 journals remained. She never threw them away. Every November 17th, she read one, to remember, not the horror, the people. One rainy evening, Emily finished work late. As she walked toward her apartment, her cell phone rang. Unknown number. She froze. Slowly, she answered. "Hello." Static. Then, a frightened young woman's voice, barely able to breathe. "Please. Someone's inside my house." Emily closed her eyes. The rain suddenly sounded very familiar. She asked quietly, "What's your name?" The young woman answered, "Sarah Collins." Emily remembered that name. It had been carved into the wall inside the house. She looked up at the dark sky, then softly smiled. "No, you're not alone anymore." Emily opened a drawer in her apartment. Inside lay the old brass key. It had never disappeared. She picked it up. It was warm, exactly as before. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. Far away, very far away, almost impossible to hear. Telephone rang. Just once. Emily looked toward the window. For a brief moment, she thought she saw the older Emily standing across the street, hands in her pockets, smiling peacefully. Then, the figure was gone. Emily smiled through her tears. "Thank you," she answered the frightened caller. "I'm here. Tell me exactly what you can hear." The rain continued falling, but this time, someone answered the call. Epilogue. 3 months later, the demolition crew finished clearing the land where the old house had once stood. Nothing remained except dirt and broken concrete. As workers prepared to leave, one young construction worker noticed something sticking out of the soil. A small, white wooden door. No walls, no foundation, just a door, standing by itself. He frowned, reached for the handle. Before he could touch it, his radio suddenly crackled. A voice whispered through the static, very softly, almost too softly to hear. "Don't answer it." The worker slowly stepped away. The wind closed the door by itself. When he looked back, it was gone, as though it had never existed.